live.
All right, we are live, and the New York Mets just lost their first series to a National League East team. It took 2 injuries to pitchers that then led to relievers who I'm pretty sure were like actors in the original Sandlot at some point, and that's the only reason they got to like pitch for the Mets. And it took a baseball that was hit and moved through the shift like a fucking bullet in the Matrix before Brandon Nimmo spiked it on the ground, and and then a fucking play out of hell for Mr. Perfect himself, Francisco Lindor, getting a steal, going back to first. We're going to get into it all. However, I could sense that there is Panic City in the air. So today we are doing a Mets Anonymous meeting, along with our preview, along with our recap, along with celebrating Brett Baty coming into the majors, which was the big story 24 hours ago. Lots of stuff going on, lots of craziness. For anyone listening on the podcast, KFC is not here today. He is with the kids down in LBI. So just bear with me. Phil, Kyle, we're all going to get through this together, boys. We've been through a lot worse. And I do think we're all in a pretty good headspace right now. I'm looking at the chat. Looks like we got a good amount of people in the chat in terms of headspace. I know there's people that are ready to, look for the nearest bridge. So we're going to get through this together, because at the end of the day, we're all going to chill. And how are we going to chill? We're going to drink our Coors Light. That's right. I'm talking Blue Mountains. I'm talking ice cold silver cans, the official beer of everything unofficial, the official beer of chilling, the official beer of everything unofficial, including the unofficial podcast of the New York Mets. That was Kyle's tagline, A++ tagline by our boy Kyle. We love our Coors Light. So make the most of your summer with a chance to win cool, exclusive chill merch, fun local experiences, or even a trip to New York, Chicago, or Los Angeles. Enter to win at CoorsLight.com/believe. Again, that's CoorsLight.com/believe. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends September 19, 2022. Game ends September 6, 2022. All 50 U.S. states, Washington, D.C., 21 or older only. For prohibited. For rules, visit CoorsLightSummer.com. Again, you got your summer. I guess this is the end of summer barbecues, sending the kids off to college or school, whatever it may be, or you're just watching the New York Mets. That's what I like to do when I drink Coors Light, because I am still in Cohen lineup. I ain't going nowhere, boys. I ain't going nowhere. Fuck Panic City. Panic City's fucking dead. It's fucking dead. It's buried. It's burned to the ground, as is Kunsalina. Cohen lineup. Not a fun night last night, though. So we'll start off. We'll recap last night. Kyle, we'll start with you. Kyle was on the treadmill last night, and I'm gonna put a pin in it right now, people. We didn't mention anything. Kyle is fucking damn near 500 on the treadmill, which is still behind this year's pace, comically. Nonetheless, you got
the amount of wins I've been walking quietly, just racking them up. I have it in my notes app, and I'm on a complete heater. The second half, I think that's my first loss of the entire second half.
Yes.
So that was not on me. That was on the bullpen and a million other things. I was losing my. Here's the thing. If it wasn't Jake's game and it was just any other pitcher, if it was Bassett and that happened, I don't think I'd be as pissed. I really don't. It's just because the history of it all, of being like, okay, he's not his sharpest. He's still gutting through his performance. Him not at his best is still better than like any other fucking ace on any other team. And you have first and third no outs, and James McCann watches 2 pitches flipped right over the middle, and then he flails at the last one right after Brett Baty goes lefty on lefty against the Braves ace and hits it up the middle. How the fuck do you not hit into a double play? We're rooting for the double play, James McCann. And even then, you still don't do it.
He's the worst. He's the goddamn worst. He gets that double. Gary talked about the double as if it was like Mr. Koo's wild ride around the bases. It was like the most unbelievable thing he's ever seen. Our $40 million catcher hitting a goddamn double. But that's kind of, that's just where we are. It's a dead spot in the lineup until at least Tomas Nido is like fucking prime Pudge Rodriguez in my mind when he comes in the lineup over James McCann, because his OPS doesn't start with a fucking 4. It's a 4. You know how hard it is? Phil, tell me how hard it is for an OPS to start with a 4.
I mean, it's like bordering on pitcher levels of hitting. Like, that's what I've been saying for months.
Oh,
I would rather pitchers. I'm like, you know what? Do we really lose that?
He could have bunted. He could have sack bunted to a squeeze play, something.
Dude, he fucking sucks. And it's like, there's a lefty pitcher. He's one of the only righty bats in the entire order. And he looks like he's a fish out of water facing a lefty. And then you got Brandon Nimmo coming up right after him. So it was like, that was shot right away. I was praying for a Marte Parte. But it's like, how many times can that guy come through in the clutch? Mark Canha was the only guy who looked like worthy of an at-bat last night.
And, McNeil has been good all series. Like, even the first two games, I'm like, McNeil just showed up every single game this series. He had some spunk in him. I don't know what it was. Maybe his kid's finally starting to sleep now, so he has all this fucking energy just back in his system. But, yeah, Can has actually been the opposite, where there's been times where the lineup's clicking, and Can, I'm like, man, I know you're better than this, Mark. What's going on here? And you said Marte, it just got into my head. I see a lot of people, and I know Gary said, like, Marte, and people are like, he's not busting, he's not hustling. I don't think Starling Marte stopped caring about baseball. He's a guy who has had a million fucking weird muscle injuries and shit over the years. I'm more concerned about if he's playing through something and if it's going to get worse. So as long as Starling Marte, because if Marte runs for a fucking base hit and he gets hurt, then we lose Starling Marte and we have enough goddamn injuries going on.
He turns it on when he needs to. There's plenty of times where you've seen him go first to third or any time where it's like maybe they were gonna score a run for a double play and he'll beat it out. But like, I don't want him sprinting. And I'm sure that the coaching staff and the medical staff are like, if you don't think you're gonna get a hit out of this, like just shut it down. Yeah.
And I'm talking about, irrational New York fans on Twitter instead of like Buck, who is like, Starlin, I know you're not feeling good, partner. Just take it easy. Hey, he got to the fucking ball on what was that, Wednesday night? That's all that matters because we were all about to fucking lose our mind. Phil, how are we feeling after just last night? How were you feeling by the end of and again, I said it was like we've won so many games like that. Now I know why Braves fans, Phillies fans, all these other fucking fans that hate us go nuts because that is such a frustrating way to lose. But hey, it fucking happened to us. What are you going to fucking do, man? We have 70. What does the bottom line say? 73 wins. We're a fucking good team. And
we're 76 wins.
76. Sure. Yeah, the Braves are 73. I'm sorry. Yep. So how are you feeling, Phil?
Well, since the trade deadline, we've played the Braves 9 times. We've won 5 and lost 4. We all have talked at the beginning of August. We're 10-5 this month in total. Like,
yep.
We're taking care of business in a bigger sense, like the whole month wise. But you were bound to lose a series to an NL East team eventually. It sucks it was this one. I would have preferred it just be a random one versus the Marlins, but it is what it is.
Yeah, because you're getting hit with the double thing where it's obviously they win and then you lose and it hurts the standings. The way they lost, though, it doesn't truly like I hate losing the Jake starts. At this point, I'm almost like resigned to we're just never going to give Jake the run support.
Oh, I want to touch on that. So Jake's made 4 starts, 2 runs or less in 3 of them.
Yep. He has 37 strikeouts and 1 walk. The only other player to do that this century was Corbin Burns last season, and everyone was ready to anoint him the Cy Young after the first 4 starts. This is a dude coming off a 13-month hiatus, and then he comes out there and does this night after night after night. And for whatever the reason, what do you think, Clem? Is it more of I think it was that they were so relaxed in the beginning of like, oh, Jake's on the mound, like we don't have to worry, and now it's gotten to the point of you have to press, and everybody just presses because they need to score him runs, and then they can't.
So the only issue with that line of thinking is half these guys weren't even here when like they were playing against us whenever they were fucking Jake, right? It's like Marte, Canna, Lindor, all that kind of stuff. My dumb brain is like, he cut his hair and he made a deal with the devil. He said, you are going to be the greatest pitcher of all time and you're never going to get run support. And Jake said, I'll sign up for that deal and let the chips fall as they may. He'll get paid for it. He's also just not going to get wins. But he also killed like the win, like the pitcher's win stat is dead. So like anyone with a brain, there's still the Lindorks who talk about batting average. They'll talk about wins and RBIs as if they are the most important stat in baseball. But for people that are fucking have a brain, they understand that you can't do anything if your offense doesn't show up to go for it. That's just my 2 cents on it. I don't know if Phil has any like different views on it, but that's my dumb idiot juju brain.
I can't really speak on any of that.
It doesn't make any goddamn sense.
I know that we faced Nola and Fried the last 2 starts. So like, okay, those are good pitchers. Not going to score many runs.
Yeah.
We're going to face those guys in the playoffs. Right. Like, when we get shut down by Alcantara, I'd be like, you know what? We're not going to see Sandy in October. I don't care about that. When we get beat by those 2 guys, well, maybe we beat Nola 1-0, but you get what I mean. When we aren't scoring versus those guys, that's going to aggravate me a bit because we probably will see those guys in 2 months.
Yeah, and that's a fair point, Phil. That happened to Jake a lot, especially earlier in the seasons, usually because my dad mentioned it too, and he's like, oh, he's usually facing the aces. I'm like, that makes a lot more sense in April and May where everyone kind of is on, the one who's still facing each other, the 2s are still facing each other. Jake just got plopped in the middle of a fucking season and just happened to face the aces. Again, it's probably from the curse of cutting his hair, which looking back now, Jacob deGrom with hair is so fucking weird to see. It's so weird to see. And Phil had his tweet that I loved. I think that was in 2018. Jacob deGrom hasn't murdered.
My pinned tweet.
Yeah, Jacob deGrom has not murdered a teammate yet. And it's like, that is from 2018. That's 4 years ago that like they had enough tough luck starts getting fucked. And it's still happening all these years later. It's absolutely crazy.
There was a picture of him last night in the dugout like this, and somebody took the knife emoji and just put it in his hand.
They don't always show up for Scherzer. I guarantee they're just like, Max might fucking murder us if we don't score him runs. Maybe Max needs to become like Jake's, like he's just like the most super like sidekick of all time. He's like, if you don't score this guy any fucking runs, I'm gonna eat your fucking brains out of your head. Like CT basically from the challenge back in the day. The only other thing I wanted to touch on in terms of last night was, I mean, can you really give Lindor, like everyone was just railing on Lindor. It's like he stole the base, he had the base.
That's more on Pete for not taking the first pitch,
right? Yeah, it felt like it was on Pete. I'm happy we got to see Jansen in person, and the only way I can describe that windup, it feels like a Punch-Out villain, where it's like he has one little quirk that you just have to keep exploiting, and I guess it's just to run on him, which is clearly going to be the case. I'm happy we got to kind of see him put up our big guys against him and see how we look. I feel like we could get to Jansen in a big spot, which I'm telling you, Braves fans don't feel like that about Edwin Diaz right now. That's a win for me in like the grand scheme of things, even though it doesn't mean fucking shit when it's all said and done. But yeah, Lindor, he had the base. He's trying to find the ball. And then like once it drops, it drops. It would have been incredible. It's just like the James McCann double. You're like, oh my God, everything just broke our way. And then everything was just taken away from us. You're going to lose these games. We've won games like that. There's the Phillies comeback. There's other comebacks we had that if one thing goes a little differently, didn't we hit like the base against the Cardinals or something at some point? I feel like we had some weird shit early in the year. It's like, hey, that's baseball, Susan. What are you going to do? So it feels like it was more on Pete. I don't think anyone was talking about it that much. I think Gary might have touched on it a little bit, but a lot of the stuff was anti-Lindor. I don't think you can blame the guy.
If you're Pete, like you haven't gotten the bat head out the entire series. He's popping up all over the place, and it's the last inning. Like, why wouldn't you have just taken a pitch? Seeing him go, it's a lot easier when you have a guy on second to drive him in. Like, what's the point there?
And Jansen's been a free stolen base pretty much the whole season for anyone with an ounce of speed.
Yeah,
it's basically like Syndergaard closing.
Yeah, and we got it with who is it? Marrero got a steal on him immediately.
Yeah, the guy that was on the Long Island Ducks 3 months ago was easily steal a base off him. Go figure.
So again, last night it's just one of those things you chalk it up to just that's baseball is a dumb sport and you live with it. And
the only thing is, looking at the Max start and looking at the Jake start, I fuck with Buck. In Buck we trust. Come postseason, if he's coming in and putting in Adam Ottavino, whose ERA does not reflect his pitching performance at all, I cannot stress this enough. Everyone looks at the ERA and goes, "Oh, he's having a good season." 36% of inherited runs scored. Why the fuck are you putting that guy in? I would much rather Jake have one more batter or Max to have one more batter, because Lugo came in for Jake. But like either situation, it's like you want a generational ace who looks like he's running out of gas, or some guy who's going to flip in a fucking fastball and blow the game wide open.
I'm sure in October, Jake and deGrom will stay in the game in those situations.
It shouldn't even be a conversation, though. I think it's more of like he even just comes to the top step, and it's like, you better fucking stay in the dugout.
I think the fact that Wednesday night Max didn't fight him was pretty much telling. Right. Like, if that's October, Max is fighting to the end. He doesn't come
delay. That was different factor.
Yeah, it's a different situation. Jake last night with the 95 pitches, you're not pushing him to 100 just yet. And if the plan is to keep him healthy through October, I think it's more of.
If he goes 102 versus 95,
yes, that's what their plan is. I think the bigger issue is not stretching him out to start versus the Phillies, where you had 76 2 starts in a row. Right. If you stretch him out to 80, 85 there, then you probably have him for 100 now.
You're telling me if he stays in that game and Lugo doesn't come in, that they score that run? I find that very hard to believe.
No,
the order. Bunch of schleps coming up.
Jake probably strikes out here, but he also went to 10 pitches on Vaughn Grisham when he probably shouldn't have.
Squeezed him. That drove up his pitch count in certain circumstances.
Yeah. That move didn't lose in the beginning. They scored 2 runs. It's as simple as that. If you're not scoring runs, if you're scoring 2 or less runs, you're not going to win a game that often.
Yeah, and the funny thing about hitting, does his arm know? It's I'm at triple digits now instead of double digits. It's kind of silly. However, I will say this, and again, this is dumb brain, juju brain, whatever. there was something about Pedro Martinez. When he hit 100, he just became like not batting practice, but it was like the guys would just they get the contact off him, get the single, and I'm just like, and again, as someone that was rooting for the Red Sox with all my heart, because at that point, any shred of like a decent Mets team from 99 and 2000 was gone, and I was rooting in the civil war of the Red Sox versus the Yankees, and I'm just like, fuck. Pedro's at 96, and we need to get 2 more batters out. And like fucking Matsui would just get like the bad head on the ball, and it would just be over once he had hung. It was one of the craziest things. I'll never understand it. I still would have liked Jake to finish it out last night, but again, I'm also putting this on. Buck has to learn about all his guys. This is his first season. He has to know about Lugo. He has to know about Jake. He has to know about Max. He's learning all these guys as he goes along. And this will be the last thing I'll say, because again, I'm going to ride with my guy Epler mode till the fucking brakes fall off, whatever it may be. I wish he had addressed the bullpen just like everyone else. Michael Givens came through in a big fucking spot last night. We have to admit that. If we're going to shit on him every time he doesn't come through, he comes in the heart of the fucking lineup, which looked like it was going to be Diaz, but the way it's broke with Lugo, Givens came in. It's like, that's the thing I'm going to save and be like, all right, we may not be completely fucked if Michael Givens has to come in.
Apparently Michael Givens is only good in high leverage situations, according to his stats, so... You know what? I'd rather that. Whatever.
Yeah, Phil, I like it. Let's see. What could we call him? Like Big Shot Bob. He's our Robert Ory. Big inning Givens. I think that kind of goes. I think we could go with that. We're gonna workshop that idea. But shout out Givens for coming through again. And I'm gonna say this. I'm hoping McGill is gonna be the last Band-Aid on this fucking wound that still probably could use stitches, but we're going to keep throwing Band-Aids on it. We'll see if it happens, and we'll get to it later. It sounds like there's another guy potentially in the minors that I'll convince myself will be our Bobby Jenks for the playoffs that's going to, take care of all the things. And I try to explain this to KFC. In the playoffs, this is what I'm telling myself. In Max and Jake starts, 1 through 7 are handled. 9 is handled. 8. 7, maybe 8. That is going to be where the games are won and lost. And if the offense shows up, it may not even be that much of a deal. But it's like, if you can't get 7 and 8 finished between Lugo, Ottavino, Givens, McGill, whoever the fuck else is, thrown into that mishmash of stuff, you don't deserve to win the World Series. It's just that simple. Your bullpen has to come through, and not your closer, your bullpen. The guys who are the 6, 7, 8 guys, those are the guys that are going to have to come through. And whatever starter we're bringing out, Cookie Carrasco being that guy is terrifying. If Cookie Carrasco was awesome in the first inning and sucked every other inning, I could live with him being the bullpen guy. It's quite the opposite, though. So I'm a little worried about that. Is that a fair thing to say?
I don't even know when Cookie's even going to come back. I know they said 3 to 4 weeks, but like obliques.
Yeah.
I don't know if he comes back, it may not even be as a starter. So yeah, maybe we'll just get shoved into pen, but I don't know.
I don't know if I like him in there, but and we talked about it in our group chat. May is not a label.
Yeah.
I cannot deal. It's like looking at Jerry's Familia, where it's like, yeah, he gets out of some of these situations, but it's like you had no business getting out of that. Like,
so
his fastball's so fucking flat. I said he looks like Kyle Farnsworth, who used to throw 100, which was like such a novelty at one point in baseball, where you're like, this guy throws 100, he's got to be good. And it's like the flattest, straightest thing you'll ever fucking see. And with his off speed, if it's not hitting in the zone, like he's got nothing.
The best way I could describe Trevor May is like he's 25% of what Jacob deGrom is as a reliever. That's maybe the best way to say it.
That's a good one. I like that. That's how you need to know about Trevor May. I didn't even include him in my 6, 7, 8 guys, right? He's part of the mishmash.
And we like him too. Like he's come on the show as a nice guy. It's just like you're pitching like somebody that you used to be in Minnesota. You need to figure out something else because this isn't working.
Yeah, it's like I see the guy. I've seen that guy in Minnesota, but the stuff coming out of that guy's arm is not the same guy. Whether or not he gets it, we were hoping maybe after the injured list stint he would come back. It is not there. And I did see someone say in the chat, Drew Smith. I forgot about Drew Smith. I don't know what he's going to be like coming back. Our boy, Cherv, Joey Lucchese, maybe that's our Andrew Chafin coming back. It's like we have all of September to figure out the bullpen. We're going to be facing, I saw the Pirates and the A's while the Braves are facing, we play the Pirates and the A's while the Braves play the 7 games against the Phillies. So it's like there's going to, be room to be made up in the division then, and we can kind of figure it out. The offense should feast. So we'll worry about that when it gets here. However, Phil, you touched on the other thing with Cookie. The first 2 games of this series, the Braves showed up and our offense really didn't. But the injuries. And I've been saying it for like the last week or so. Once I realized look at this team, I was like, the only thing that concerns me at this point, I know this team is good. It's the injuries, and there's no way you can do it. We lose Guillorme. We lose Cookie. We lose Taiwan, which, by the way, I think I wrote down the tweet from our guy, DeComo. Increased optimism that Taiwan Walker, whose MRI revealed a slight disc bulge in his lower back, can make his next scheduled start. Oh, that's good. However, this is what else he writes. But the Mets aren't there yet. Walker called it the worst pain I ever felt and said he's shocked he's feeling this good 2 days later. So I don't know what the fuck to make of that. That sounds like the most terrifying thing. Phil, you said like all 30-year-olds have a slip disc in their back or something.
That was one of the quotes. It was like, oh, everyone above the age of 30 has a slight bulging disc in their back. It's news to me. So
you know what? You sneeze wrong after 30 and you're crippled. So
no, I always say 27 is where the hangovers start lasting throughout the weekend. If you go out and have a good Saturday night or a great Friday night, you're hurting until Monday. And that disc, it's right around that 3-0 is when shit starts hurting. I said to you guys, I thought that was just where my soul was basically sucked out of my body by God when he's like, yeah, you're not going to have fun anymore in life. So I don't know. Again, Taiwan hurt, Cookie hurt. And it's like now Peterson. Oh, we have Peterson, Williams. We'll figure it out again. September having that schedule will allow us to maybe make some things work. But we still, this is the end of like the really hard part of the gauntlet. Philly, then the Yankees. So hopefully we can get through this. And the Phillies having that goddamn doubleheader really fucks everything up because you have to have the pitchers. And if you don't, then the bullpen's going hard. And you're going, as we saw the first few games of the series, straight up dog shit bullpen when we have to go long and we don't have Trevor Williams to throw during it because those were absolute fucking nightmares. It wasn't a fun series in Atlanta. But again, Atlanta didn't show me enough that series to be like, oh man, this team, I don't consider them our equals right now. I still don't until that, even after taking down Jake last night. So we'll see what happens. Is there anything else from the Brave series you guys wanted to touch on? So who do we have? We have Guillorme's hurt. He, basically hopefully end of September. Cookie, hopefully end of September. Taiwan, maybe next start. Maybe Taiwan Walker never pitches a baseball again. I don't know what to make out of that goddamn Tacoma tweet. Our boy Nito, fucking Tomas Nito, as if I couldn't love this guy anymore, has COVID, fucking wants to go join the team, drives 15 hours in his car so he's not a super spreader, and he's just fucking there for the boys. God bless Tomas Nito. And did we lose anyone else? Because honestly, it's a blur.
Escobar's like in and out. You don't really know what's going on with him. You know what? When they batted him and he had to turn around and bat lefty when he hasn't in forever too, I was like, I don't know if I really agree with this. Like his side's already hurting. Now this is like an unnatural motion. His lefty swing's been an unnatural motion all season long, but now it's really an unnatural motion. But yeah, Brett Baty.
And that's exactly what I was going to transition into. Our boy Escobar gets hurt, which, I think I like Escobar. I hate him as a lefty, but I love everything else about him. And you hear the quotes. It's like, this guy is like kind of the heart of the locker room. Everyone likes him, blah, blah, blah. He just watched basically the guy just take his job. He watched Brett Baty come up, home run, first swing, fucking crowd going crazy, family going crazy in the crowd. Back in Texas, his high school going crazy, Mets fans going crazy, shirts in the store, Baty bombs home runs, shirts in the store. I should probably pull that up on the YouTube, but I don't fucking have the brain to do it right now. Absolutely electric moment. Hitting lefties just fine. He's hitting lefties better than some of our righties right now. It's crazy.
I was so happy to see him in a lineup against Fried because I remember like 2016, 2015 where Terry Collins and them would just knock back and forth over his lefties. And he just never had lefties his entire career because of that. Because they never like tried him out versus them. They let him face Bumgarner in that game in 2016 in May, and he was just never the same after that.
Yep. And again, the defense, he had a couple nice plays. He had that one, which I'm happy SNY picked up on it because I saw it, where it was this close to going under the go, but doesn't matter. Did not. Again, you're going to miss stuff like Guillorme. There's no, like, he probably makes that double play or whatever the other night. Baty didn't field it clean and it kind of kept the inning going. So guys are going to get hurt. We're hurt. There's the Baty Bombs t-shirt. Shout out our boy Pabs for doing it. Baty Bombs shirt in the store, the Barstool Sports store. We have a new Edwin Diaz shirt too. Sound the trumpets. I've been doing this game a whole long time. Kevin's been doing it even longer. This is by far by far, I'm going to put in the comments too of the chat, the We Gotta Believe store. By far the best store we've ever had. I mean, every fucking shirt is a heater. Our boy Trent, Big Daddy Trent goes, I don't know what's going on with the Mets, but every shirt they release is fucking awesome here at Barstool. So we've kind of been blessed with everything. When you're winning, the creative juices flow. Baty is 2 games, everything that Joe DeMaio told me he was going to be so far. So I'm very happy with Baty. I feel like everything we've seen about him has been good, right? Everyone's happy with Baty.
I mean, what more could you really ask for in a debut? I mean,
Yeah.
And even his outs, he hit it 113 miles an hour up the middle. It's like, okay, well, he's putting good contact on the ball. He seems like he's already a professional. His swing looks very balanced. Like everything you see looks like it's going to translate very well over the course of time.
He only really had like one bad at bat, and it was like in the 8th inning yesterday where he struck out. But it's like,
yeah,
it'll take one bad at bat for every like 10 good ones. So.
And I think he's that dude. Escobar. The good thing is Escobar, if there is a tough lefty for next year, Escobar, or even I guess the end of this year, Escobar can be that guy. And from the right side of the plate, I actually kind of do trust him a decent amount. He's not great by any means, but with his injury, with Cookies, like obliques are such a motherfucker. They're basically, I know that you can get hamstring injuries, but actually I was going to say it's like the hamstring injury for NFL players, but I'm going to say it's the ankle sprain where it's like you have that fantasy running back, you keep rolling them out and you hold your breath every fucking day. So anyone that plays fantasy football right now can kind of know. So we'll see what happens with Escobar, but I'm very happy with Brett the Met Baty and Keith. Keith fucking loves him right off the bat. And that is more important than anything. No offense to Philly broadcasters who think they know more than Keith fucking Hernandez about defense. But if Keith likes a guy, I like a guy. Phil, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was going to say, like I tweeted out yesterday, it's like, I'd rather these injuries to Guillorme and Escobar happen now than if they happened in May. Because if this shit happened in May, the odds of Baty being called up would have been 0. We would have had a platoon of like JD and whoever at third base. So at least now there's a contingency plan. Like, okay, our backup plan to these injuries is just our number 2 prospect.
Yeah. So, I mean,
the only problem now is that Baty and Guillorme are both lefties. So now it's personally, I think Guillorme comes back and he's like instantly the starter again because that's just the right thing to do. He's hitting like 277 and is defensively superior to everybody on the team. But at a certain point, it's like, okay, well, they're both lefty. Escobar has to hit because he's going to be the righty guy. It's like, what do you do? I think if it's in a tough situation or a tight spot, you put Baty in. But otherwise, how can you really justify? You've seen Guillorme all season long. This guy's only had 2 games. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think you have to just ride with the kid at this point. I mean, Joe said it best. Once he's up, I don't think it's even going to make a difference. I don't think we're going to have that luxury. I think you just play the matchups at that point, and if there's a pitcher that's maybe more of a, as I'm saying this, and I'm thinking about me on the couch watching the games with Frank the Tank in the room, I think I want Louis out there. In all honesty, I love the kid. I want to believe that this is our Conforto and we're just going to ride him. We're not the 2015 Mets. We have a little bit more options than they did, and you're kind of just wheeling a guy out there. Fuck.
It's tough because you've seen him all season long, so like Guillorme's doing enough to get it done. It's just he's not going to bring the power Baty's going to be able to bring. But it's, you don't know. He's just starting. You don't know if this is going to be a 280 hitter. Meanwhile, you have another guy who's like a proven entity at this moment. It's tough. If he comes back and he's healthy, I think you have to go back to Guillorme, but it's a very tough call if Baty's going to be playing well.
Look, Guillorme will always have a spot on the team because he's like the backup shortstop to Lindor, who's never takes a day off. So it's not like, Guillorme is like they don't have a spot for him. Like, no, he'll always have a roster spot.
I'll tell you what,
we have 6 weeks to grade Baty. That's
him being this good already, like he has 2 hits. That's being good. Everybody's looking at McCann going, what the fuck, dude? But this is a kid who hasn't seen anything. And like, maybe it's like beginner's luck, even though we know it's not because he looks like a baseball player. Like in the back of your head, you got to be like, okay, fuck it. Like bring up Alvarez. If he wasn't a catcher, that's the only hang up in this whole situation. Otherwise, McCann would be on the side of the road. I think they would have just left him in Atlanta. Would have been cheaper than to pay for his flight back home.
I'm at the point now where I will say this, actually. I'm trying to like spin zone this because I'm like, at this point, just give me fucking Perez. I don't even care. That throw out of Acuna in the Max game was like the biggest play of the game looking back. Knowing that Trevor May was going to shit down his leg and completely give every Mets fan a goddamn heart attack. That was absolutely enormous. So I have to give him credit for that. But it's to the point now where the bottom of the Braves lineup does the same shit we do. They grind at bats, they run up the pitch count, they somehow get on base, they may chase the starter or make the manager change bullpen arms, and then it brings up the top of the order where they're just motherfucking you. So to have a guy like McCann, who's like the one guy, he's the fucking army meme, and he's the one clown in the middle of the fucking lineup. Like, I cannot, it's not even a money thing anymore. It's just like, I can't wheel this guy out. That's why when I was thinking Guillorme, it does feel like this Mets team, when the game that decides the fate of this Mets team, I think you almost need to have Guillorme and Nito out there, because they are like just as much the bloodline of this team as the superstars, your Lindors, your Pete's, and all that kind of stuff. That's at least my 2 cents. Phil, do you agree?
I completely agree with all of that. Like,
yeah. And I'm not moving Nimmo down the lineup. I know people want to move Nimmo down the lineup. We said it like
it's slump. Just let him work through it. We built enough of a cushion. I mean, obviously 3.5 games. I'm talking like in terms of like we have good enough of a record where we can afford to like just let guys work shit out.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm fine with Nimmo grinding the at bats. Just get on base like once, maybe twice a game here and there, and then I can just live with whatever the hell else comes out. I still am upset about the throw with him and all that stuff. Whatever. The Braves fucking won it. They wanted the game. They took the game that night. But Nimmo also having the throw offline, I was like, God damn it, you're just fucking struggling right now. There was a certain raid occurred, and ever since that raid down in Florida, our boy Brandon Nimmo has had a very tough time. So I hope his head's in the right place. We're just laughing. We're just making some jokes here at We Gotta Believe. So basically from here now, it's like everyone's kind of banged up. What are we going to do? Well, we got to go to Philadelphia in a fucking Little League ballpark and now face the Phillies in 4 games. We have a doubleheader. The Braves kept the game at 7:20, so that allowed us to fucking get in nice and late last night. Whatever is what it is. I'm not going to start crying and talking luck and all that nonsense. But we got our boy Seabass coming out for game 1. So, that sick bastard is going to be out there as long as Buck lets him go. Goddamn Aaron Nola, just facing these guys nonstop every fucking day, it seems. And then Peterson and Williams in the split on Saturday. I didn't even realize that. So we got the Peterson-Williams fucking lefty-righty combo. And then who the fuck? So Taiwan on Sunday. And if Taiwan can't go, who is it, Phil?
Jose Buto maybe? Or maybe Tommy Hunter comes up? I'm not thinking about Sunday. So
that's a fair point. What are you thinking about Sunday?
I legitimately don't know who they go to, because Williams would have been the guy, but now he's throwing in the doubleheader. There's nobody that comes to mind off the top of my head that's currently with the team. It's got to be somebody who's getting just called up for a cup of coffee and then sent back down, right?
Could they use Jeremy Hefner if they had to in an absolute pinch? Could you somehow
you could sign to a 1-day contract or something as a player, maybe? But
I'll tell you, that fucking guy, he wasn't this as a pitcher. But whatever he tells his guys to do, they do well. If he can just listen to his own advice, I see no reason why he can't get out with, I'm not going to say a quality start, but I'll go 6 innings, 4 earned. That shouldn't be a problem. I saw Schwarber played, I think, the last 2 games, but he only had 1 at bat. I don't know if they're just using him as a pinch hitter right now.
He came up off the bench. I don't know how he's going to look in the field, though. So he had a rough starting
Sunday. That's good. Shit, man. I'll take him over some of the other guys we have there. Got to believe on that side of the thing. So again, win tonight, and we worry about this fucking wacky split doubleheader. Yeah. The one guy who is a pitch,
I was like, just not having a doubleheader would be so much better. Like, because we have to burn a pitcher that's not even on our 40 or like a AAA starter for no reason. I just want to get that out. Like,
yep, exactly. The one guy who won't be pitching for either team this weekend is Noah Syndergaard, who once again has asked for a little bit extra rest here. At what point does it become absurd? Is it when he skips out on our matchup against the Phillies in the playoffs? Is that when it's like, all right, there's something more here? Like, I don't even know what to say about Noah. I understand he probably doesn't want to face us. I know we're a big, bad, scary team. And coming off with, he's lost about 5 miles per hour of his fastball. This lineup is fucking meat for this lineup that will eat him alive. I don't really know what they're going to say. I mean, at this point, we have to just say he's just stuck in the Mets, right? We can all agree on that.
Oh, yeah, completely. And he's like, oh, he would have been on extra rest for Sunday. He just needed extra rest, like 7 days rest for Monday versus the Reds. Like, it's the same shit as what happened with Anaheim back in June. It was like, he was on 7 days rest for us. He wanted to pitch on 8 days rest for the fucking Dodgers. Like, It's like, oh, he's coming off Tommy John. His Tommy John surgery was 2 years ago.
It's fucking unbelievable. I swear to God. But that's Noah, right? It's like, these are the stuff we don't have to deal with, whether it was like, it was silly bullshit where he's arguing with the Mets, or it's the wrong story coming at the wrong time, doesn't want to get the MRI, then gets hurt. Just one of those things I'm just grateful we don't have to deal with anymore. And from our side of things, it is funny. And our boy KFC, of all people, was like, oh, I know he had a pitch on short rest. I'm like, if Kevin's coming to your defense, of all people, you're in a tough spot. Oh, we started this open with a Mets Fans Anonymous, and Kevin, he just had to get his thoughts out there because he wasn't going to be on the pod. So I'm just going to read it off of Twitter. He goes, I thought we were over this. I thought winning like 18 of 22 converted everyone, but I guess the blind hatred still exists. The Mets are going to win 100 or more games. The only thing stopping them from winning like 140 is middle relief. Unfortunately, they aren't literally perfect. Their hole is like what 90% of baseball struggle with. Their shitty bullpen also features the best reliever in baseball. Their starters are incredible. Offense is relentless. Everyone knows Epler didn't get bullpen help. Literally everyone knows that. I've told you so, but it isn't a thing. They lost their first series of the year to any fucking opponent. It sucks that it was Atlanta, but it is what it is. And if the Mets lose in the playoffs to the one hole in their team, you can fucking just say, that's just how baseball fucking rolls there. So I wanted to make sure we got Kevin's thoughts on the podcast right there before he probably went to war with like 1,000 Braves fans that have 7 followers because he's a crazy person on Twitter. I don't understand it. The Phillies, like this is when I think like this series might be the most vulnerable the Mets have been since obviously when Jake and Max were out, but that was earlier in the year. Now it's August. It's fucking pennant race time, all that kind of stuff. This is the most vulnerable I felt as a Mets fan since at least just Max came back. That's not crazy to say, right? Just because everyone's it's like you're missing guys because they're hurt. I still can't believe McNeil was fine because I thought he was going to be out for the season. The way he reacted to like taking that like nubber off the bat, and he was like, I thought the cut on his hand got like agitated or something. But this is the most because it's like not only are we missing guys that are hurt, but I'm also waiting for the other shooter job. It just feels like it's a fucking pandemic at this point where just someone else is going to go down and the next guy's going to go down. And that's when you truly feel helpless as a baseball fan on your couch. Is that fair to say, Kyle?
And it was that, and it was every time it started to rain. I'm holding my breath now for the rest of the game. Everyone's slipping and sliding in the outfield. It just seemed like every single game you were holding your breath, just being like, let's just get out of Atlanta. Like, it has nothing to do with the fact that they're not playing that well against the Braves. It's more so of like people are dropping like flies. And that's how baseball works sometimes, where it's like you just have a month of nothing but shit. And again, Phil said it. It's better. I'd rather it be happening now than like in the beginning of the season or right before the playoffs. Like, get it all out of the way now, boys. Get all your dinks and nicks and whatever else you have like that's ailing you, and get your treatment because they're getting an easy cupcake schedule at the end of the season. So get your legs healthy because we're going to need to run. We're going to need to hit. We're going to need to bunt, do whatever we need to do to be the team that we were that started the season.
Yep, exactly. So we're going to be all right. We're going to have this road trip. Then we got and then like a little light at the end of the tunnel, got to face the big bad Yankees who, I mean, if you guys want to freak the fuck out, just go back and look at what the Yankees last month has been like. It has not been fun. Frank the Yank Fleming is just becoming the fucking overlord. He's becoming their Darth Vader. He's everything Frank the Tank was for us, which, by the way, I'm calling it now. If that ball that was smoked that Starling Marte got to, if the Mets lose that Max game and then everything happens again, Frank would have just went loose. He just wear the Braves hat the rest of the fucking playoffs, and he would be going crazy right now. So everyone just count your blessings that they at least took 1 of 4. And by the way, thoughts and prayers to Large. He had to fly to Cincinnati, Ohio, drive Frank and Doug's from Cincinnati to bumfuck West Virginia, 2.5 hour ride. And if they had lost that game, he would have had Frank. He said, Frank was probably already crazy person just talking about the first 2 games. He would have had to drive all the way there with Frank just losing his goddamn mind. So buy rnr.com, Rough and Rowdy tonight. Get your things. We have Coach Doug's. We have Alex Bennett. The most undersold thing about this entire production is that Kirk, Minahan, and Stu Feiner are there. Stu Feiner, and people, I said Stu Feiner is the craziest person in West Virginia right now. And they're like, Clem, it's West Virginia. Yeah, I fucking know that. Do you see Stu Feiner? That person, he doesn't have like a conscience. He's the absolute best. I love Stu with all my heart. But to have Stu in West Virginia, along with Kirk, along with all the other mayhem, we have a fucking Alex has like a whole entourage with her. Obviously, Frank the Tank's there. We have Large. We have Dave. We have Big Cat. Everyone's going to be down there. So buy R&R. That's a free ad I'm just throwing on right now. It's a good company, man. And it's going to be very exciting. play the Yankees, and then at some point in all this nonsense, the Mets are going to come home. And what are we going to do when the Mets come home? We're going to welcome them back, and we're going to turn Citi Field into the goddamn loony bin that it deserves to be. And with that, how are we going to get our tickets? We're going to be like Stu Feiner. We're going to sit in the good seats at Game Time tickets. That's right. Game Time, the exclusive ticket for Barstool Sports. Kyle, we went through this with Phil last time. Where's your favorite place to sit at Citi Field? Where's your go-to spot?
So either outfield, field level, and left. That's okay. That tends to be where I get it because I like all the food options over there. There's a bathroom that nobody uses. You got to do these little intricate things that people don't think about. And then down the first and third base line, I think it's just that's the best spot in the ballpark to witness the game. I don't really like to be behind home plate.
Yeah, that's kind of just the good part of the steak. You really can't go wrong. I know that's Phil's option. And when I got to Barstool, the ballpark, after being stuck in, traffic getting or whatever you want to call it the other day, I stood on the table, the tabletops there in the left field, and I just was watching the game. It was, I think it was whenever Fried died or whatever play Nito hit the double and Fried died, whenever all that went down, I was like, man, these are some fucking really nice seats. And like you said, there's good food options in left. Center field obviously has the big stuff. The center field chicken tenders. You get the General Tso's on them, and they come with cheesy tots. I was like, oh, these are like tater tots. Not so fast, my friend. It's cheese filled inside a deep fried little thing, like a deep fried casing that looks like a tater tot. A+ recommendation from your pal Clem. And then in right field, they have good food in that whole entire concourse from left to right. So Kyle, everyone go check out Kyle's recommendation, left field. And how are you going to get these tickets? You're going to download the Game Time app You're going to download the Game Time app and redeem code BELIEVE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And we're going to get this fucking team. It's on us at this point to carry the boys home. And again, come September, we're just going to be fucking beating up on absolute dog shit teams. What the team will look like at that point, we'll see, because obviously we're going to have the September call-ups coming up. So for the people going, what are we going to do with the bullpen? What are we going to do with the bullpen? Let me tell you what we're going to do about the bullpen. Bryce Montes Deaca. Do I have to get Joe DeMeo back on the horn right now? Do we know how to pronounce this guy? Whatever his fucking name is. I was told by my guy Tyler on Twitter. He said his name literally translates to Mountains of Goose. Sold. He's 6'7", 250-pounder that throws 102 miles per hour. Hitters have a 186 average against him this season. He's struck out 57 batters in 77 innings. Is that right?
Yeah, he's got the only other percentage that's higher is Diaz's. That in comparison.
That's preposterous. Giving up 52 hits and struck out 111, and he's about to be Rule 5, so they have to put him on the 40-man or else they could lose him. That's Bobby Jenks. That's our Bobby Jenks. We just found him.
The only downside is that he's effectively wild. He walks a lot of people, and that's why nobody can hit him, because he throws 102, but they don't know whether or not it's going to be over the plate, so they're fearing for their life, and then they're trying to swing the bat.
Good. I fucking watched my team get hit by how many goddamn pitches, and I don't like walks. I was hoping when you said his only flaw was going to be he has a bad entrance song or something. The walks are the worst thing, as we've learned over the years since we are the kings of bad bullpens. Shit. Well, you know what? Good. Let the other team have a little bit of fear in them as this guy goes to the mound, because he's fucking our Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn. I love this guy. This is how stupid baseball is. I've never heard of this man until just now. I saw Michael Mayer tweeted him out, and I was like, there's my guy. I just found my guy, because he's a unit, and that's the reason why. Again, we have Coach Doug's fighting down in fucking West Virginia, and we have Bryce Montes de Oca pitching up in Syracuse, putting up Edwin Diaz numbers, I guess, except for the whip, because he's probably just walking the park here and there.
I mean, I don't know. They said he's otherworldly because he's just dominating everybody. It's just I guess occasionally he comes. Our bullpen's a coin toss as it is. Just bring this guy up. Let him throw to one batter, and you can tell whether or not he's going to be good. Well, they got to face three. Fucking roll.
God damn it.
Thinking old baseball terms.
Again, it's you got to get that 7 and 8. Figure it out. We have all these guys. We have Lugo. We have Biggin and Givens. I'm making that stick, by the way. We have, hopefully Drew Smith when he comes back. Ottavino. Everything just a bridge from our starters to our incredible closer and everything in between. We just need to get that, more warm bodies, the better. I was looking at just lefty arms when I was scouting the minors because we didn't trade for Chafin. A guy with a sweet nickname that fucking strikes a lot of people out. 100% sold on him.
You just brought up Chafin. Castellani, why did you have to give the Braves Robbie Grossman? He had 2 home runs all season with the goddamn Tigers, and he has 2 home runs in this series alone. If you're going to give these players away, can you give them somewhere else, please?
I didn't realize we may have to have Castellani on next week and have him explain himself, because this is a problem. This is a problem. I didn't realize that I'm not happy right now about this.
It's the J.D. Davis effect. He's like a world beater for the San Francisco.
Oh, yeah, J.D. Davis, 4 home runs with us, 4 home runs in like 12 games already with the Giants. Maybe they'll figure out he can't hit a high fastball too.
I was wondering. Oh, did you hear? Dom Smith hit back-to-back home runs in the minors. He's the Babe Ruth of quadruple A baseball, and I'm the Dom guy of the podcast. I'm like, are you kidding me? Save up some of those home runs, Dom. Maybe bring those to the pros once in a while.
God, man.
I'm going to try to share this on the screen before we call it an episode here. I hear my kids are going crazy upstairs, so I apologize for all that kind of stuff. Our boy Josh Wolf, who is a one-time listener of the week right here, said Michael Givens' low leverage versus high leverage stats are fascinating. So I don't know how well I can share on the screen if you guys can see here, but his low leverage stats. We'll start 22. Obviously, the season we're in. Batters are batting .308. They have a .364 on base and a .560 slugging. Good for a .920 OPS, right? Actually bad. That's what we're going to say. I think that's fair to say. High leverage, Michael Givens. 10 1/3 innings pitched. 156 average. .302 on base. 188 slugging. That's good for a James McCann-esque .490 OPS.
Yeah, so basically in low leverage spots, hitters are Aaron Judge, and in high leverage spots, hitters are James McCann. Well, worse than James McCann versus him, actually. So
there you go, folks.
You can believe it too. The very first outing he had, I swear to God, I'm like, it looks like he's throwing batting practice, and then they started to hit, and I'm like, holy shit, he is throwing batting practice. So maybe he's just saving the bullets in the gun. When he comes in, he's like, oh, I don't got to do anything. Here we go. Let me just try to get out of this, and then nut cutting time, he gets ready.
I mean,
I don't mind that.
If you just look at these numbers, and I wish I could just, is WOBA, is that kind of like an OPS, but like pared down a little, Phil?
It's weighted on base and average.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess a 219 is pretty good. So I'm just looking at his numbers here, and then you go to the low leverage stuff, and everything does go up a decent chunk here. It seems like this season more so than ever, his high leverage and his low leverage are very different. If Buck is like, listen, like Kyle said, nut cutting time, this guy brings the heat, but when it's a fucking 5-run lead, he's not going to do it. That's fine. I'm going to fuck it. I'm printing the big inning given shirts right goddamn now as we speak. We're going to put them on sale at the Barstool store. Jeez, I can't even talk right now. So 4 games here. I think we could all agree you got to hold serve, even with the advantage and the advantages in pitching matchup. I think you have to hold serve and just split it, especially after you just lost 3 or 4 against the Bravos, who, by the way, have the Astros this week, which in typical Braves fashion don't have to face. Who is it? Valdez and Verlander. They're 2 fucking best starters. So completely on brand with the Braves fucking voodoo, which granted the Braves don't have Fried obviously pitching because he just pitched, but nonetheless, it is just typical Braves bullshit where they move those guys back or up to face us. And now they're not even.
They gave Strider a week of rest just to have 5 innings versus us, and Fried 12 days off the concussion. So
unreal. So the Phillies matchups, just going back to it again: Bassett, Nola, Peterson, Wheeler, Williams, Falter, who is 0-3 with a 4.85 ERA, and then TBD, which hopefully is Taijuan Walker if he can ever walk again, versus Kyle Gibson. So it's not like they're not wheeling out. Obviously, I mean that Noah not being there, and I don't even think Noah's numbers are that good, but just him like not even being there as a presence, kind of makes us. I'm pretty fucking happy about this guy just being scared of us. It's pretty sweet. Just the fact that one of their guys that they just got at the deadline is fucking ducking us. So it's easier said than.
deGrom, Scherzer and deGrom are then lined up for the Subway Series. So we're doing our watch party at Blue Haven East on Tuesday. 7:00, I think, is the start time. So anyone that's in the city want to come watch the game with us, we're given presented by Coors Light Double Tap. It's 5 minutes of free beer. They play Thunderstruck. They fill up the whole bar with cups of beer, give it out to everybody. It's a good time, and get to shit on the Yankee fans that are in the bar, no doubt.
Yeah, I can sense it's going to be a wild, raucous atmosphere. I'm sure we'll have some Yankee fans run through. Hubs has said he's coming. And I'm like, God bless you, Hubs, because I don't think I would return the favor. There was a bunch of gobblagools having some beers, for the Subway Series game. But Hubs has always been a good sport. He took a fucking hose to the face at Fenway and just, like, brushed it off. So, everyone be nice to Hubs. I don't care what else your fellow Yankee fans. Just be nice to Hubs if he swings by, because I have to give him credit for that. But yeah, watch party. It's an absolute blast. The first two have been fun, and this is going to be by far the most electric, because we're going to have that's Tuesday, which means Jake. We get Jake again, huh? Oh, God bless, man. God bless. And then as we have the Barstool at the Ballpark, last one of the season, Mets versus Pirates. I'm sticking to it. That's going to be the 96th win. It's also Gary Cohen bobblehead day. $90 for a ticket to the game with all of us, obviously. All you can drink beer for either 3 hours or till the 7th inning, whatever comes first, and an $18 food voucher. All you do is you scan your ticket or your thing on your phone when you get up to the section, and then to get the beer, or at least the wristbands for the beer, and then you scan your phone at all the different food vendors, and they'll take the $18 off depending on what you buy. Again, try the chicken tenders in center field. It's called it's like the chicken bucket, and I got the General Tso's on top because I'm a Tso's guy. Actually, before we take off here, go-to Chinese dish. Tso's for me. Kyle, don't tell me you don't eat Chinese. Don't you fucking say you don't eat Chinese.
I don't eat Chinese food.
Oh.
I eat Japanese food. I'm a hibachi chicken kind of guy. That's it. I don't like Chinese food.
I usually go like shrimp lo mein and like an egg roll. That's really my go-to.
I was going to say, Phil's a Queens guy. If he's in Queens and he's not eating Chinese, I don't think you're allowed to live in Queens if you fucking don't eat Chinese. Kyle, not being a Chinese guy.
Japanese all the way.
You saved yourself with hibachi. Hibachi's fucking the best, man. Amazing chicken.
I'm also not a sushi guy, so like I'm all out on like that whole type of thing. So that all I eat is hibachi chicken. That's all I got.
For any parents out there, you guys know I'll occasionally drop my parental things. Hibachi is like the greatest thing you take your kids to. Once they stop being the fire, still scares like my 7-year-old to this day. But they just stay still. They eat all their food. It's the absolute best. And if you're even a birthday party, just have a couple of their friends instead of having like 10 kids. Just get like 2 or 3 kids. You feed it includes the food obviously and the entertainment. 2 birds, 1 stone. Little trick for you guys as we take off here. So it's not going to be an easy weekend. This is probably the most vulnerable the Mets will be, hopefully the rest of the season. But stay sane. Stay healthy. Gotta believe.
Gotta believe.